Tiffany, thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here, especially because you're in Australia, I'm in London. There's such a huge gap of time difference between us. But I really appreciate your time coming on the podcast. Before we get started and talk all about, marketing, which I know a lot of people really want to know all the details about because we all fear when it comes to marketing, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This is really fun. It's like, it doesn't matter where we are in the world, we can just chat with each other like this. And it's just a beautiful thing meeting people like you. I'm so excited to be here just because this is such an amazing topic that all of us need to really talk more about. And I think as females and online business owners, like it's just so daunting. So I'm really excited to get into it. So my name is Tiffany Sly, and I'm a leading visionary sales and marketing maven and personal brand guru. I'm sure you've never heard that before. I'm committed to providing industry leaders with clever and simple strategies to break the marketing mold and build their most authentic and outstanding business. It's basically like business coaching and marketing consulting in one. So kind of unique and fun.
No, I love that you're combining the two because I meet so many other business coaches like myself. And yes, there are the marketing entity of coaching as well. But there are so many different variations. You've got to be so selective in what you're doing and what your niche is. But talk to us a little bit about your journey, because you've got such an incredible story as to how this kind of started and how your business has evolved and kind of how you ended up in Australia as well.
Oh, I know. It's been actually, when I look back at it and think about the last 2 years, I'm exhausted because it's just like, what did I just do? And I'm still breathing. Oh my goodness. But it really, really shows just how much stamina we have as women and just anyone our age and in this day and age. There's so many things that we can achieve and amazing things we can do. For me, I was in school, so I went to university for communications and psychology. I did a double degree, and I went into advertising, of course, psychology, communications, that's kind of the same thing. So I worked for ad agencies and marketing firms, and I really loved it. But then there was a time in my life where I felt it really wasn't fulfilling me and something wasn't right. And my family was all in real estate. And someone suggested that I get in the business. And I said, oh, it's not for me. I don't know. And then one day, I actually was coming back from vacation and I just dreaded going back to the corporate world. I'm like, oh, just, you're counting down the days, 5 more days till I go back to work, 4 more days. And I really, really didn't feel like it was for me. And so I ended up just doing something crazy and spontaneous, which apparently is my pattern. I just quit my job. I gave my notice and I started my real estate courses. And within 4 months, I was licensed and totally, risked everything. I had $0 in the bank, probably in debt, I think at that point for sure. I was 26 and I had no idea what I was doing. And I just went into business with my family and, learned from my grandmother who's been doing it for 50 years now and just incredible mentor with some of the most amazing agents in the city of Toronto in Canada. In the luxury market, I just was like a sponge, taking it all in and just feeling like, what am I doing here? How am I doing this? And then I just found my groove. But what happened for me was, I think because real estate agents, just like kind of coaches like you and I, we're a dime a dozen. There's so many of us. And it's like, I was competing with 50,000 other agents in our city. And I'm thinking, okay, you're thrown in, and this just kind of goes across the board to most of us as service providers, is you're thrown into a business generally. You're like, I'm going to be my own business owner. I'm going to start this business. And you kind of go about doing things the way you think you should. Like you kind of are put into a box. You think I should wear a suit and I should do this and I should market myself like that and I should say this. And then for me, that's what I did. And I realized that just wasn't getting me anywhere and I was exhausted. I was just, meeting people and networking and coffees and lunches all the time and just spinning my wheels. And I just thought, what is wrong? Like I'm exhausted and I'm broke. This has got to change. So it was really interesting. I've had 4 coaches in my career. This is, I'm a lot older than I look, but a lot of people say, you're so young, why are you a coach? And I'm like, I'm almost 40. But I've had quite a long career. Like I've been in the business for a while. And I've had four coaches in my career. And the one that I had during this time where I was feeling just kind of stuck in my real estate business was the most life-changing for me. And it was a life coach. And it was someone who said, you know, really the most important thing was to establish your values and your strengths and your boundaries. And I didn't think that I really needed to do that, but I realized how beneficial that was for me. And I also had such an amazing journey of discovery in terms of what I wanted to be in terms of a real estate agent and what kind of business I wanted to build. And I started to find my own unique point of difference. And I realized I don't have to be this little, you know, suit wearing agent who does X, Y, and Z. I can actually be myself and be completely comfortable and authentic and be a standout expert. And that's what I started to do. And I started to just, you know, instead of cold calling and door knocking, I was like, I actually enjoy writing. I'm going to build my credibility. I'm going to start blogging. I'm going to start putting out a lot of content. You know, just being myself was really the turning point for me. And my business doubled the next year. It was just like, what? Oh my gosh, this is happening. And I just kind of rode the wave and everything just kind of fell into place for me. So the organic kind of transition into this type of coaching role that I have now was during that time when I think a lot of other younger agents like me just started to, you know, ask advice and ask me questions about what are you doing to market yourself. And I did all of our own marketing and all of our branding and everything myself because of my previous passions. And I really enjoyed doing it. And I just kind of started to help the odd agent and, you know, going to pitches and realizing that I was winning really high-end real estate pitches just because I was finding like loopholes and gaps in the market, and I was just realizing where I could be beneficial and where I could put myself and place myself in there and you know, showcase my confidence and really what I could bring to the table. And it started to work, and people started to say, what are you doing? How are you doing that? And so it just kind of organically happened. And then there was one day I met my fiance, and we were walking our dogs and realized that he was planning a move to Australia. And I said, of course you are. I just met this great guy. And of course you're moving across the world. And so it's kind of started this relationship of friendship for a while. And it started my wheels in motion. I think subconsciously I knew I was going to move here with him. And I started to get certified as a coach. So I'm a certified professional coach and then a real estate coach as well. So I started that process, and then I believe it was November 2018. I ended up launching my new business. I said, I'm just going to make this a business because I really enjoyed doing it. And I was doing it on the side of selling real estate, and it just complemented what I was doing. And that was really the end. And I transitioned off of real estate there, and I started to dive into creating this online business full on. And now we're here, and I'm in Brisbane. So that's my story.
I know. I love your story. It is. It's crazy. But you know what? It's one of those things that I love hearing other women's business stories, but it's not just the business story. It's your life journey as well that you're going on. And everybody is so unique. Everybody's got their own unique story, their own journey that they're going on. And I always say, and for those of you listening, you know that I always say this, but I'll say it again. When you sign up for entrepreneurship, you're not just signing up to have a business. You are actually signing up for so much self-development. And you said it yourself.
Oh, massive.
Once you got a life coach, you started going through that transformational period. You just saw your business doubling the following year. But it's also because you kind of went on this organic change. You just, you know, like you say, you went with the wave.
Just follow the path.
Yeah. You didn't force anything. You didn't try and be somebody else. You just you just had that moment of, listen, I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to develop into this person that I've always wanted to be. And I love the fact that you're saying that, because so many other women can connect with that, and that's what I want. That is just phenomenal. So I'm glad that you said it, because me saying it all the time, people are going to go, yeah, but it's you. I'm glad other women can express that as well.
No, it is the key to success in any service industry now, with the amount of coaches and people online trying to have businesses and anyone going into business for themselves. It's a very trendy thing. It's a very, I think what was the coaches are like the fastest growing online business right now, or have been for the last 5 years. And when you think about that, and like saying real estate's the same, like how are you going to be different? Like, what's going to make anyone want to work with you over all these other 5 other people that they know in their circle?
Yeah.
So it's all about really finding your own inner authenticity and how to make the business, work for that.
Yes.
That's the whole point of this. Yeah.
And also the other thing which you mentioned is in our industry and in so many other industries, there's so much competition. And yes. I always find that, and this is something that I kind of have my own perception on, but I kind of feel that the word competition is so over exaggerated now these days, especially in the business industries within particular niches. But I find that when you swing it around, you more start thinking about collaborating with people in the same industry or niches as you are in. The effects of that could be tenfold, and both parties could benefit, or all the parties, how many people you've got involved, could benefit from it. So collaborations for me in particular is one of my main focuses for 2020 as well, with other female entrepreneurs. And so far it's been a huge success. But I agree with you about competition. That is kind of like the one thing that holds people back as well from developing, because they feel there's so many other people doing what I want to do. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But if you're unique, your business is unique. And that's what attracts people to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it should drive us. Like, we are all so different. We have so many different stories. Like I just told you my story. You leverage that. You talk about, and this is kind of the whole basis of the very beginning of my program, is you have to really own your awesomeness and find your point of difference, which is really inside you.
Yeah.
Like all of us, in service-based industries, obviously, mostly, is we do this business and we do this job for a reason. Like, there's a past in our experience kind of brought us here. So tell your story. Be your own personality, be yourself, bring your personal stuff into it. Like, it's called personal brand for a reason, right?
Yes.
It's all about that. Like, I really don't feel like I compete with anyone, to be honest. And I don't think anyone should, because we are completely different. We completely different experiences and skills and stories with all of us. So
absolutely,
there's so much room for all of us.
And that's the thing. That's all about the mindset of abundance. That's what to focus on.
Amazing. I love that.
Okay, so let's move on and talk a little bit about marketing, because like I said, so many of my audiences and my students as well, once we start talking about marketing, they feel like, this is not my level of expertise. I'd rather go to a marketing agent. And that's okay, but there's so much more to marketing. And the best part is, like you say, you don't have to be an expert. So why don't I just hand over to you, and you just talk us through what it actually means by marketing, but not having to be an expert at it.
Amazing. This is like my most exciting topic. Is I have the phrase that I hope I've coined by now, is marketing badass, which, some people might find that a bit off-putting and a bit in your face, but my whole point behind it is that every one of us can be a marketing badass without having to be one. Like, we don't have to be marketing experts to actually market our amazing business in a standout way. And marketing also, I just want to say, is not just online and not just kind of tangible visuals. It's actually how you come across and how you bring yourself out to customers in general. So it's, your personality and your tone and, obviously your online stuff, your direct marketing, your website and your visuals, of course, but it's all things, how you communicate your business in total to everyone. So, really what I have found, and kind of what's the kind of real point of this whole marketing badass in the very beginning stages of my program, is really what we have to do to start this process into mastering your marketing as an everyday entrepreneur, is owning our awesomeness and finding our point of difference. So I mentioned that earlier. It's, really finding what the heart of your business is and who you are and what your personality of your business is. And that's really the key. That's going to be your differentiating factor right there. And once you have that and you learn and you're really in touch with that and you've aligned with that and your business and your why, it's, there's 3 questions we can ask is, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. So those are some really amazing questions to ask yourself all the time, because I think a lot of us haven't done that exercise. Really, we kind of go into it. We don't really reflect like, oh, is this actually reflecting me? Is my business and my brand actually, authentic to myself? And most of us, it's not. So I really encourage people to look at that, inside your business, in the heart of your business, and ask yourself those 3 questions. And once you get the answers, that is your story. That's really the heart of your business and should be the driving factor of everything you create. So in terms of becoming a marketing badass, as I mentioned, that's really the trick. That's the secret right in itself. Because the moment you find out what you are, maybe, that's different amongst all of your competition, maybe what you find out your personality is in your business and why you do what you do and those exciting things, you can actually leverage those things and they become your brand. So then you can actually create visual branding for it. So then you kind of have a personality and a tone, right? And then you can come up with fonts and colors and logos and create your website and all your other assets on that, right? Yes. So then there's, that's the visual stuff. And then you go into the content creation. So once you have obviously who you are, what you stand for, and then your visual branding can be created off the tails of that. Then you go into creating content. And this is the most important piece because everyone is different. Everyone should not fall into a box of what you should be creating. Like, not everyone should be a blogger. If you're awful at writing, don't blog. Like, think about what you love to do. This is why those initial stages are so important, because it's really getting to what are you good at? What are your strengths? And what are you awful at? And you need to own those things, right? Those are who you are. So for me, I loved writing. So I found that creating credibility in my market was to create blogs and put out a lot of content all the time. And I started to find a little bit of a cheekiness to it because that's who I am, right? I had some humor and some little jokes in there. And I told my story. There was a lot of vulnerability in what I put out because that's who I am as a person. And I want, people buy feelings rather than products. So you really want them to connect with you, right? So if that's your thing, then great, go do that. A lot of people really feel that pressure to do video right now. There's so many people saying, oh, video is going to get so many more likes and so much more engagement and more exposure. Great, that's amazing if you love to do that. But if you don't love to do it, don't feel like you have to, because you're going to hate every minute of it. It's not going to come across authentic. So if you love doing video, that's fantastic. Do videos of yourself, maybe even, doing what we're doing right now, doing videos and putting them on social media. You can transcribe them. There's your copy, right? Then you have pieces and you chop it up and put it onto social. So there's just all these really great little tips, but it all starts from what you really love to do and how it complements your strengths and what you enjoy doing. Yes. That's really the key. So the content creation, though, I think one of the biggest, you kind of mentioned it earlier, is that a lot of people in our own business, we feel that pull to have like a virtual assistant or someone to actually do our social media for us or our creation. And, I'll tell you, I've done that. I've been there, done that. And I really, truly feel that if you're a solopreneur like us, I really feel that being more yourself and having more genuine content that you're creating should come from you. And that's only going to really come when it comes from you. So if you have someone else creating it, it's not going to be your voice necessarily. It's not necessarily going to be your story and have your tone and it be, sometimes you can really see through that. So I actually stopped using anyone and I now create, most of my stuff. I'll tell you a secret though. I do have a ghostwriter. So a friend of mine who's a brilliant writer, she's in Amsterdam. She knows my voice. We've been working together for a while. She writes, like I send her notes and she writes up and finesses what I come up with. And that's just worth every single penny, because it kind of creates just more of a story out of it. And what I do is, this is a trick that I'm going to give you right now, is because I love writing and a lot of my marketing, it can't just be social media, it can be for other things, but most of us utilize social media the most.
Yeah.
But the best trick that I found was create more of a long form content piece, like a blog. I found it was easiest for me, the long blog. And then you chop it up into smaller pieces, and there you have 5 pieces to go out on posts on social media, on, you know, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, if you like. You can do a video to each of them if that's what you choose to do. You can put them in an email newsletter. There's all your content for the week. So that was really kind of what I started to do, and it's worked for me ever since.
That is a great tip.
Yeah, so it's really kind of, I can't say this enough, it's about finding exactly what you really love and enjoy doing. And obviously your business is going to be different. Maybe someone else's industry may not be, you know, like if you're in a more finance industry, maybe you want to do kind of more LinkedIn and fact-driven content, whereas like more of a coach like you and I, might be more beneficial to have more video and kind of more vulnerable content about what we do in our story, right?
Yes.
So you just have to learn about what it is that kind of is in the heart of your business and yourself. So that's really the biggest tip I can give.
I love how you have laid out the kind of tips about kind of like the steps almost of what you need to do to become a marketing badass. And it doesn't mean you need to be an expert. You're just going to become a badass. And as you were mentioning these tips, I was kind of reflecting back on my business and what I used to do. And I'm going, yeah, I did this step first, and I can see now I should have done it third in the row. But it's great. It's a great experience to go through. So I'm just quickly going to recap that. And I've got some great examples as well that I want to throw in there.
Yes.
So the first thing is, you said, obviously, you've got to go and find out what your personality is. What kind of business do you want to have? And rather than just thinking about that topic, break it down. Ask yourself, what is it that you're going to do? How are you going to do it? And why do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And that makes it a little bit easier to come up with that personality. But also what I want to include with that for the audience now listening and watching this video, it doesn't mean that when you got to come up with a personality, you've got to fake a personality. You don't have to copy somebody else. That's not it.
It's all about being authentic.
Absolutely.
That step is authenticity.
You've got to be authentic, and you've got to be very honest with yourself. That is something that we struggle with the majority of the time. We struggle being honest with ourselves. So you really got to dig in deep. And once you've gone through that phase, you know, take your time. Don't pressure yourself. Take your time.
Definitely.
Once you've gone through that phase of discovering what your personality is, a little point I want to mention there is, don't worry about what other people are going to think of you, because some people will always have an opinion of you and some people won't. Some people will get attracted to who you really are. So don't even worry about that. Yeah. Then from there, the next step is obviously your visual branding. And oh my gosh, this is a process as well, because my first website, I think it was pink and gray. And now thinking about the colors, I was like, what on earth was I thinking?
But so many of us do that, right? We just kind of go and we don't really kind of think of it.
No, we don't. I just threw something together and I thought, perfect, it's on the web, there we go. And then as time progressed and as my business developed, I was like, oh my gosh, this is definitely not who I am. So I love that you're putting that step in there.
And that's okay though, I want to say, because a lot of us, like, we do rebrand ourselves consistently throughout our careers, and we should. So if that is the phase that we go through, then just, you know, follow that. Just at least you're doing the discovery and realigning. That's all that matters.
Exactly. And that's something that I didn't quite understand. I thought once you've got a website up, that's it. But then I discovered that as you develop, as your personality develops, obviously there's nothing wrong with going and redoing it and sharpening it up and all those kind of things. So very much about the mindset, that's for sure.
Yes.
And then the content creation, that's your next step. I love that you put that in there. I started blogging, and I hated it. I'm sorry to say, for all the bloggers out there, I love what you do, but I am not a blogger. I tried.
It's just not for you.
It's just not
That's
for me.
fine.
I've got a little tab on my website. I've got a couple of pieces of content that I've written. And I have to say, I think that's some of my best things. But it took me forever to write that kind of content because I just wasn't in that groove. I just didn't enjoy it. But the podcasting, I love. This is something that I can do
found your thing.
Every single day. Exactly. And that's what my
Perfect.
podcasts is, my content. And that's why I love sharing this kind of content. And obviously the videos as well with my audience.
Yes.
So it's definitely about finding that finesse about what it is that you want to do.
Exactly.
In order to get content out to the audience. So I love that you put it in there.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that, and I made a little note here, you say people buy with feelings rather than products.
Yes.
And that is so true, because once you've got your personality, your visual branding, your content, people then get attracted to who you are. And by including your own vulnerability, your own story in your content, and that's where people start getting attracted to with the feeling part, because that's how we as individuals connect, through feelings.
Yeah, no, and also too, it's like if you're in a service industry, you're selling a transformation. So you need to have and pull at those strings and actually talk to the person's pain points and really direct your messaging to that.
Yes.
I want to mention too, just as we're on that point, is, you know, throughout the whole discovery process, I failed to mention two really major things. You want to also look at your target market. And who it is, not your target market like your clients that you work with now, but who is your ideal client? And you want to paint a picture of that, because that is going to be who you're going to be speaking to and who you're going to be communicating to and marketing your product to. So you want to think about that at the initial stages as well, and how you compare to other people in your competitive landscape, and how you're going to be differentiated amongst all those. That's also part of the discovery. So that's really the initial stages as well before you start building out your visuals.
Yeah. And that's what I like, because you've simplified marketing so much more, where people think, I need to be everywhere. I need to be on all the social media platforms. I need to do this. No. If you need to start finessing your marketing, these are the main steps to go for. Yes. Look at your personality for your business, visual branding, content creation. And then obviously use an example like Tiffany said, you know, create a blog if you like blogging, and do a long blog post, but then divide it up and use it all over the social media platforms that you want. But also don't get overwhelmed and feel you've got to be on every single social media platform, okay? Use
Absolutely
the ones
not. I think
that
like
you
maybe
want.
Pick two.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pick one or two and do them really well. That's what everyone says, and I 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
maybe even just one, but just, you know, don't feel like you have to be on like all 6 platforms and like Snapchat and every single thing because all the kids say you should. You should just be, first of all, that's one reason why you look at your target market really in depth, because who they are is going to dictate where you should be and where they're going to be kind of located to see your marketing. And then also too, the kind of the final stage is really automating it. Yes. Because I think a lot of us feel really overwhelmed with, oh, I have a video, okay, I have to post it on here and I have to post it on there, and it's just so time consuming. I have to create the blurb for them, and then I gotta, you know, shorten the video for this app and for that app. And you know, when you have visuals that you create, and you know, if you create them yourself or you have someone do them, Canva's amazing. I'm sure everyone knows that by now. It's the best thing that ever was invented, because we can go in and create all of our own templates ourselves and create it on our brand and do it kind of, you know, within minutes. But what I recommend is spend, you know, one afternoon maybe, or one day a week, and just sit and actually be inspired and create content. And that also means planning out your week of what you're going to post or what you're going to do, if it's email marketing or if it's a video or if it's an event. Put a plan together for your week. Every single week you sit down and you plan it out. Yeah. So in terms of your content, you have your blog, chop it up into 5 pieces, and there you have 5 posts if you're going to go on social, and you create 5 visuals for them, and you use an automated scheduling software like Buffer or Later or Hootsuite, and you plan it out and schedule it for the whole week, and you're done.
Yeah.
Also, and it's like,
it's
that's
key.
And you know what? That's what everyone's doing. And that's what it kind of comes across, that, oh, they're posting all the time. It's so consistency is key, right? Yeah. I think just, instead of feeling like you have to do it on the moment and at the very time that you're, creating it, that's very stressful, especially for us entrepreneurs that are, our schedules are up and down, and, we're pulled into a call or gone to a meeting and things change, our kids are crying. It's, we want to have this done ahead of time. Maybe even if it doesn't work for you once a week, sit down right at the beginning of your day and plan it out really early in the morning, maybe for the next day or so, or 2 days, and just set it, forget it. Right. Yeah. And then you go on with engaging and making connections, and actually don't forget about the marketing yourself in face-to-face. It's not just online. Sure, this stuff is mostly social and kind of online marketing that we're talking about right now, but it also allows you, if you have it automated and in all systematic, it allows you to really spend your time connecting and engaging with people face-to-face, which is the most important thing. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more, because even though you're a marketing badass online, you still have that entity where you need to meet people face to face. So go to networking events, go to coffee meetings, whatever it is that your community in your area.
That's still marketing.
It's still marketing, but also the benefit of that is people get to meet you and get to feel your energy firsthand. Where through online marketing, that's kind of like a phase, that's kind of like organic flow that it's got to go through, and it's got to grow. Only then for people to kind of like getting to know who you are. But when you network, you know, physically, it's an immediate connection, immediate relationships that you're building right there and then.
And to be a marketing badass, you want to have all of those bases covered, because your online space needs to be almost your resume and your brand building exercise to complement when you actually meet someone, like we are even on video now, or even just face-to-face in person. So you have to have all of those things in place. So that's how you do it.
Tiffany, thank you so much for clarifying that we don't need to be marketing experts. It's actually so much easier if you look at it in these kind of steps that you've laid out for us. So I really appreciate it. I'm just quickly going to conclude with that. I'm just going to recap again. So obviously to become a marketing badass, look at your personality for your business. Who is it that you want to be? Go through all those stages of asking what, how, and why. Then obviously look at your visual branding. Think about your colors, the kind of tone that you want to use for your visual branding. And then think about the content creation. What is it that you enjoy doing? And then focus on that. Don't try and do everything. Only do what you love, because that's where you're going to excel. And then lastly, just start automating things. Automate social media. Make sure that you do a lot of content creation that you can automate as well, because let's face it, once you batch some of your content, you can schedule it in advance. So you don't have to worry about that. And that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that. You don't need to be an expert. If you just follow these steps, your marketing is going to become so much easier and so much fun as well. It's going to become a really fun process that you can follow.
And also your confidence will be that much better. Think about going through this process and how much clarity you're going to have in your business and how awesome you are and why you do what you do. And then you go and see these people in person, and you're right on your game, and you have confidence that is just, beautiful thing that people will see, and they'll get that whole vibe from you. Yeah. And it will just flow from there.
Absolutely. Everything is energy. So once you've got that right energy flowing, that's what attracts people. And that's what attracts clients to you as well, or customers, whatever.
100%.
You're in the service-based or the product-based industry. And then what we'll do is Tiffany's website will also be available. Any social media links will be there. So you can obviously go and connect with Tiffany. And then if you've got any questions, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out. So reach out to her at any point. And Tiffany, I just wanted to thank you myself for being on the podcast. This was absolutely fun. So many great tips that you've given us, me in particular as well. I love hearing everything. And is there any last advice or anything that you would like to say to the audience as one last tip?
Honestly, I just want to say, just enjoy what you do and be yourself. That's really all I can say. Because when you do that, your authenticity comes through and you really enjoy your work. And that's what we all should be doing every day when we wake up.
That's perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Well, I'm
Thank
sure we're gonna
you.
be in touch fairly soon again. But I wish you all of the best. Enjoy your evening in Australia.
Oh, thank you so much.
And we'll catch up soon again.